Year. So this is the Old Testament year, and I try to focus on the foreshadows of Yeshua, or Jesus, in the Old Testament, and mostly that the 39 books of the Old Testament are one book that's all about one man whose name is Yeshua. So we are going to be presenting the Old Testament overview. Okay, this is our Old Testament overview. Who wrote the Bible?
God.
How many books are in the Bible?
66.
How many in the Old Testament?
39.
And in the New Testament?
27.
How many men penned the Bible?
40.
And how long did it take them?
Over 1,500 years.
But it's one book that's all about one man whose name is
Yeshua.
In Genesis chapter 1, we learn about
Creation.
in Genesis chapter 2,
Special events of creation.
Genesis chapter 3,
Temptation and fall of Adam and Eve.
Genesis chapter 4,
Cain and Abel.
Genesis chapter 5,
Genealogies.
Genesis chapter 6,
Noah's flood.
Genesis chapter 6, 7, and 8, Genesis chapter 9,
After the flood.
Genesis chapter 10,
Genealogy.
Genesis chapter 11,
The Tower of Babel.
Genesis chapter 12.
The Call of Abraham.
That's God's voice, and we practice that. And we will be doing every chapter of the Old Testament, so get comfortable. Okay, so Abraham was born in
Earth.
where the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers flow into the
Persian Gulf.
God called Abraham and said, "Go into a
Land.
that I will
Show you.
I will make you a
Great.
and mighty nation. I will make your name."
Great.
So Abraham
Packed his bags.
and came up around the
Fertile Crescent.
and settled in a town named
Haran.
which was
Barren.
4 people went on this trip, and we remember their names with the acronym.
Salt.
They were
Sarah, Abraham, Lot, and Terah.
Laura. Who is Terah?
Terah is Abraham's father.
They stayed in Haran for 30 years until Terah.
Died.
After Terah died, they went down into the
Land.
God had given them, but they had
Problem.
no.
Children.
So Hagar had a son named,
Ishmael.
but Ishmael was
Not.
the son of promise. So Sarah had a son named,
Isaac.
and Isaac the
Was.
son of promise. Isaac had
2 sons.
Jacob and Esau. Esau was
Not.
the son of promise. Jacob,
Was.
the son of promise. Jacob had
12 sons.
and
1 daughter.
the second to the youngest son's name was.
Joseph.
Now Joseph's brothers didn't like him very much, so they threw him in a,
Pit.
sold him into,
Bondage.
and sent him down to.
Egypt.
He lived there for 40 years until there was a
Famine.
in the land. Then the whole family moved to Egypt until Joseph
Died.
and Pharaoh.
Died.
Now a new Pharaoh came on the scene and took the people into
Bondage.
for 400 years. After 400 years, the people cried out to God and said, "God, get us out of this."
Mess.
So God sent a man named Moses to Pharaoh to say,
Let my people go.
but Pharaoh said.
No.
So God did the,
10 plagues.
which we call the,
10 miracles.
and Pharaoh finally said,
Okay.
so Moses
Gather the people.
and led them through the,
Red Sea.
and brought them up to
Mount Sinai.
where God gave them the.
10 commandments.
Moses sent
12 spies.
into the promised.
Land.
They came back and said, "It is a land of,"
Milk.
and
Honey.
10 of the spies said, "But there are
Giants.
in the land."
Don't go.
2 of the spies said,
Go.
the people voted.
No go.
So God said that they would wander in the wilderness for 40 years until everyone 20 years and older.
Died.
Then Moses
Died.
and God buried him on Mount
Nebo.
Then a new leader came on the scene. His name was
General Joshua.
Joshua led the people through the
Jordan River
and
divided the land
among the
12 tribes.
After Joshua died, there were 7 social, economic, and spiritual ups and downs under the
Judges.
for 400 years. Then the people cried out, God, give us a
King.
We remember the order of the kings because of the number of syllables in their name. The first king's name had 1 syllable. His name was
Saul.
The second king's name was
David.
The third king's name was
Solomon.
The Jews lived in a
United
kingdom under these 3 kings. After Solomon,
died.
the kingdom was
Divided.
there was 10 tribes in the
North.
and 2 tribes in the
South.
The name of the northern kingdom was
Israel.
and the southern kingdom was
Judah.
Then 586 years before Christ, the Babylonians destroyed the
Temple.
and took Daniel and the Jews to Babylon as
Slaves.
after 70 years in captivity. Ezra, Nehemiah, Zerubbabel, and 50,000 other Jews returned to Jerusalem to rebuild the
Walls.
rebuild their
Homes.
rebuild the
Temples.
and restore communication with.
God.
Then there was 400 years of
Silence.
until a man appeared in the wilderness and said,
Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world.
and that is our Old Testament overview.